Really, Krett? Really, Krett? Oh my god. Hey folks, it's me, Tom F. Dot, joined here again for another episode of Really. This is our third installment of the series, and I'm joined here by, what the hell is your name again?
My name's Krett, but you can call me Krett. It's
Hey, Krett.
Hi Tom, how are you?
I'm good. Actually, it's really funny. You do the whole I'm Krett thing. And I have a friend, and you have a friend now, actually. I introduced you guys through WoW, and then eventually at SWC. Ryan Chart, one of my favorite game developers. And he was deeply offended when you met him for the first time at Regions.
Yeah.
Was it? I don't
It was
know.
Worlds. It was
Launch?
Worlds. It was Worlds. Launch.
It was Worlds?
Launch.
It was lunch.
Lunch, yeah.
Yeah, it was lunch. Yum. Sandwiches. No, it was the lunch tournament. And so
Can I tell you about what I had for lunch today?
In a second, because my lunch was better, you filthy Connecticut scum.
Yeah.
But, so I introduced them, and Ryan was like, hey, I'm Ryan, Riot Chart, otherwise known as Angar, hey, what's your name? And he just goes, Krett. And Ryan's like, word. Well, what's your name? He's like, Krett. And Ryan was like, all right, I won't push it. Okay, all right, Krett, sounds good. And later he's like, dude, he didn't want to tell me his name. I was like, that's just Krett. He's just Krett.
That's my name. That's me. All right, in I think it was Batman Beyond. It was in some Batman TV show. There's this plot where he gets mind controlled or something, right? And there's someone trying to control him and talk to him by being the voice in his
now
head.
This is 8 mana mind control or 10 mana mind control?
This is 8 mana. But so the guy's like, Bruce, you have to do this thing, Bruce. And Batman goes, nah, son, I don't call myself Bruce. Because he calls himself Batman, because that's his name.
Just Batman.
Yeah. In Batman's head, he refers to himself as Batman. And in my head, I refer to myself as Batman. So really, we're very similar.
Well, I mean, you should definitely stop calling yourself Batman. That's not something that you can actually... I think that's like a psychological problem. You might want to
That's
look at.
probably a psychological problem, but let's be real, I'm from Connecticut. I got a few.
Yeah, I mean, so what did you have for what did you have for lunch today that you wanted to brag about so much?
Well, I went to the dentist.
Was it water? Did you just eat water for lunch? Does that count?
No, I went to the dentist. That's it.
Oh, so you had toothpaste? You're not supposed to swallow that, Krett?
I didn't swallow it.
Stop. Wow. All
right. Let's get down to business.
My sandwich was great.
Yeah, what did you have in your sandwich?
Chicken cutlet, bacon, mozzarella, hot peppers on a garlic hero.
Okay.
With brown gravy.
Okay, what was the gravy to mozzarella ratio?
It's too much gravy.
Too much gravy? That's too bad.
Which is the best? No, you should always have too much gravy.
Not when it's too thick.
Maybe, I guess. But I mean, so, small note before we get on with it. The reason I went out was because sandwiches are a thing that, New York's known for.
Right.
And pizza.
Unlike its pizza, because New Haven is known for pizza.
I'm going to kick you out, but I had pizza yesterday. Nah. Stop. I had pizza yesterday, and I had halal the day before. Because these are all things New York are known for. And I'm moving. I'm leaving my humble state. I'm going down south of the Mason-Dixon line. I'm moving to Atlanta, folks. So yeah, that's my hooray.
I'm super excited for you because now you're far away from me.
I could always just take the ferry right now. I could just take the ferry and come see you. It stops at Connecticut somewhere.
Yeah, I think it's in Norwalk.
Yeah, it actually is. I just drove someone recently there. But yeah, so I'll be working for a small company called Hi-Rez doing esports stuff. I'll be casting.
That's
the
your
SPL.
official title is esports stuff guy.
My official title is actually just esports. There really
of course
is
it
no,
is. Of course it
just
is.
Esports Thomas Manager.
I mean, up until recently, wasn't Dry Bear forum moderator?
Yeah. So things shuffled around a little bit. I'll be doing a lot of esports stuff with Hi-Rez and stuff like that, and I'll be one of your new SPL casters. So shouts to everybody that's chilling out there, because I mean I work hard and I grind, but like if I have one viewer, nobody knows how hard I work. So thanks for coming out. But that's just a side note. Yay, hooray, I'm moving.
Yay.
That's why it looks like I actually put the jersey back up there because it just looked like it just looked like I was in like an insane asylum. There was just nothing on the walls. It was really drab, so like
the
I
room
unpacked
was
it.
like slanted.
Dude,
Looks like my house.
Unpacked it and put it on the wall. So
Deadwalk, Dry Bear's original title at Hi-Rez was forum moderator. Like legitimately. I believe it was after launch tournament that he got hired, I think. And like he casted his first few games from in studio as forum moderator.
Yeah, that happened. I remember that.
To be honest, I think at some point they had a conversation, when we have this analyst desk at Worlds, we should probably not have it say Golden Boy, commentator, Zipstar, coach for manager Trig Esports, allied player complexity, Dry Bear, forum moderator. Like, it probably just shouldn't stay that.
Yeah, but Dry Bear's been going above and beyond. Like, he hasn't been a forum moderator for a long time now. It's been doing a lot. He
does a lot.
Stuff.
Yeah, he wears many
and
hats.
now he's like full time. I don't know what the hell else he does, but like now he dons the title of game dev, and that's really dope.
It's really cool. So congratulations to him as well. I mean, just sort of changes coming through between season 1 and season 2.
Changes.
I think one of the big changes we could talk about is the season 2 SPL announcements that came out today.
Exactly, dude. I was frothing at the mouth. Like,
yeah, you were.
I started to feel it about 5 days ago, man. Like, I just started to. Dude, season 2's coming.
Yeah.
Dude. Like,
you know how much math I have to do?
Like, pro sports have like a thing, right? Like, football has like preseason, and like baseball has like pitchers and catchers report. Pitchers and catchers report to the field before everyone else, and you're like, okay, it's starting. Here we go. Smite doesn't have that, so like I'm just sort of like waiting, and then like almost a week ago, 5 days ago, I was just like, oh shit, there's gonna be a season 2 of SPL. Whoa! And I just like bugged out, and I got so hyped. So when I saw the post today on Twitter, first of all, I was upset. I thought they were gonna troll me like Anatoly.
That was hilarious.
Dude.
So for those who don't know, Anatoly tweeted out big announcement at 5:30 or 6:30 or whatever, and he gets on his stream, and what he says is, big announcement in 2 weeks. Team name, coach. And that's all he says.
I like rushed home. I like almost got into a car accident. I like gave a small child an obscene gesture.
But that's driving in New York. Like, how is this different from a normal day?
Well, no, that was me getting out of my driveway, and then I was getting to the rough part. Like, I like rushed home and like left my appointment early, and like I was like, shit, gotta get home. I got home, and Anatoly's just sitting there with a big old grin on his face, like, I'm here to announce an announcement is coming. And I actually facepalmed. I actually just had it in hand.
You basically got owned. Yeah.
Yeah, I got wrecked. And
destroyed.
Pretty much. But so I thought that was gonna happen. And they were like, no, it's a real announcement. And then we saw APC get on, and he just sort of like hit us with the good stuff. I'll put the link in chat. And they basically just went over everything that's going to be a first look, is what they call it, into season 2 of the esports. First of all, a new logo. New logo looks dope, Krett.
Yeah, logo boys. Woo!
I don't know if you're mocking me or not, because you have no soul,
like,
but
that's true.
Logos.
Logos are cool. I like a good logo. I can appreciate good logo. I like how it seems like an evolution from season 1. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Like season 1 was very like.
They're going to run out of ways to make cool shields that say Smite.
Yeah, but so here's the thing. It was like season 1 is like the red, white, and blue, like, logo that we see on like NBA, MLB, like, just like, hey, let's make a league. And then season 2, it's like black, silver, shiny. And it's just sort of like, we're back. with more drama. And it's just incredible. I'm like, I don't know.
Well,
I'm nerding out here.
So speaking of more drama, obviously after Worlds we saw the end of some pretty cool storylines, right? Even the fact that Titan didn't take first place, they had an amazing storyline coming up from the Challengers Cup into the World Championships of Season 1. Challengers Cup will be back for Season 2, so you two have a chance to be Titan. It's not easy, so it's really more like you don't have a chance, but you have the potential possibility of maybe doing that if you're really good. Or then you saw COG with the return to glory, right? Like, Cognitive Prime, now Cloud9, was the team that dethroned Dignitas back in the day. Dignitas ran everything. Up until COG existed, Zapman won everything that mattered. All of it.
Everything! Like, weekend tournament? Got it. PAX? Got it. Anything else? Got it. Just like, dude.
And then Annenster, who formerly had played on Dignitas, shows up with his new team that he's basically carrying, but it's got some potential, it's got some good players, and he dethrones them. He takes them down, they get some roster changes, they improve, they pick up MLC Stealth and Omega, who were big players from other rosters, from other teams. Actually coming from the original Cognitive Gaming, which was basically what became Snipe.
Yep.
And now they have this super roster, and Barracuda becomes another carry of the team. Originally, Barracuda was just part of the Enster support squad, along with, I think it was Ionic, You Won't, and Heater. And it was just Enster winning those games.
I remember Heater.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, keep going.
Anyway, so Barracuda becomes a real carry, a real player, and he starts, getting those kills and making a real name for himself. But eventually, COG Prime starts to run into some trouble as people stop scrimming them. They're too good. They pick up a sister team, COG Red. Their sister team actually boosts up Cognitive Prime's level of play again. They're looking good. Going into the SPL kickoff, it looks like they're the favorites to win. And then they get eliminated first round by their sister team, Cognitive Red, who become the most dominant team in both regions of SPL, all the way up through the World Championship. It's COG and COG coming out of North America, and COG Prime takes it. It's the return to glory, and that's a really good story that I think was underfeatured.
Definitely.
It was a longer story than Titan, but that's cool too.
I mean, that's and now I guess like I'm gonna say that I think the Cloud9 sponsorship is a very big deal. I think it's a step forward, not to like say that the Cognitive organization is a bad organization, but that Cloud9 is a little bit more established, shall we say. So that's another step in the forward direction of just like, becoming a bigger and better team. And one of the things that you paraphrased real quick was COG Red was just a tool. Nobody wanted to duel COG. Nobody wanted to scrim COG because they're just going to get better. They're beating us all. It's, it's like us versus them, right? And everyone else besides COG was like, screw those people. Let's just do it ourselves. Because we don't want them to get better because they beat all of us. And then COG was like, okay, hey, Game Changers, want to be COG? And we'll just play you. And then eventually it went the other way, which is always fun.
Yeah, I mean, originally, the way you can look at it is COG Red was getting paid to scrim against COG Prime, and that was their sponsorship.
Exactly. Yeah,
really weird.
It was really, really cool. And I mean, Season 2 is it's going to be the next chapter, the continuation. I mean, like, I don't know. Me and Krett are sitting here nerding out over like storylines and things like that we should probably solidify at some point just because they're like thoughts right now.
Well, but the point that I'm getting to is in Season 2 we're seeing best of threes. Exactly. For the SPL. So it's one best of 3 against every team, and that's your season, which has some pros and some cons. It's 5 weeks, I believe, so it's a much shorter season. There's more preparation for the teams, which is cool. At the same time, you don't get rematches, and not getting rematches removes a really cool element of the first SPL, of grudge matches, right? Like, It was Dignitas versus Fat Chunk Assemble. The Chunks beat Dignitas. And their second game against the Chunks was the turnaround point for Dignitas, where they went on a 7-game win streak. That's a cool conversation storyline that won't happen in season 2.
That's very true. I mean, we do have these different splits though, so we'll see something. We'll sort of see something like where we'll have. I mean, we'll have these qualifiers, which are like weekend tournaments essentially. That's all they are. It's just February 14th is the first week. It's an open tournament, right? So the teams that went to Worlds, they're like already there, and they're not allowed to play in this. They're not involved. So basically, week one, you're like looking for 4 teams to come out of here out of the 3 weeks of qualifiers. So you got February 14th, the week after that, and the week after that. And they're open tournaments. Everybody but the teams that went to Worlds can qualify. And over these 3 weeks, teams will win and get seed points just like usual. And the top 4 teams will join the two teams that already went to the World Championships in January. And that will be the season. And that'll all start March 5th. So this upcoming weekend, not this immediate one, but the one after that, Valentine's Day, will sort of be like our preseason, where we get all of the teams sort of like ready and placed, and pole positions are distributed essentially. And then March 5th, the teams that have been decided to earn their spot into the league will play for a month. And like you said, it's best of 3s, which I think is fantastic. And then starting at the same time as the regular season, the Challenger Cup will ride next to it for an extra week or 2 up until April 19th. And that's going to be the exact same thing that we saw last year. It's going to be weekly single elimination tournaments where teams earn points. That's it. And at the end of the Challenger Cup, the top teams with the most points have the chance to play the bottom teams from the Pro League, get into the summer season, which we're going to call split, et cetera, et cetera. So you can't go directly from the Challenger Cup to the finals, but you can go from the Challenger Cup to the Pro League to the finals. So it's one extra step, but I think it's smoother actually.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really... It was really weird for teams to go from the Challenger Cup directly into playoffs, and it didn't feel like they necessarily went through the same sort of rigor as the pro teams. And that helped some teams, and I think it hurt some teams, right? Like, there's the old thought, well, if Thirst went through the Challenger Cup, they might have done a lot better.
Agreed.
Whereas, like, a team like... I don't know, some of the Challenger Cup teams maybe could have done better with more SPL opposition, right?
Like Rambozos?
Yeah, maybe. They would have needed to start at a higher level, right? Like week 1 Rambozos would have needed to be like week 4 Rambozos, but something like that maybe could have helped the team. Because at LAN, they played at the level of the 6th seed or the 5th seed, right? Like,
yeah, no, definitely. Because I mean, Rambozos' thing was, if you guys didn't watch the Challenger Cup last year, what the hell are you doing with your life? But if you didn't watch last year's Challenger Cup, basically, Rambozos were an SPL light team, right? They did all the shit that you expected to see an SPL team do. They just didn't do it as good or as crisp, or were a little too predictable. You know what I mean? Like, they shared camps. They did all the quote-unquote right stuff. They
were
didn't have
bland.
everything there. Yeah. Your favorite.
Not in teams. Just in food.
I'd like a plain bagel and a glass of water, please.
Yeah.
Do you want some cream cheese? Yeah, without the cream and the cheese, please. Just a plain bagel. Thank you. But yeah, so they needed a little like seasoning or something. They just didn't have it. So if they went up against SPL all season, maybe they'd be a little more seasoned. Whereas Thirst were a little more. They had raw players that needed to practice competition, and if they had easier things there, confident. So yeah. I do like this. What are the things I like the most about this? I'll tell you right now. Best out of 3s. Smite is not a 1 game. It's got to be a best out of 3 because picks and bans, etc. It is you can't just look at a single match. I don't like it. I mean, shit. I don't even like that in other games. Like football infuriates me. American football infuriates me because, like, dude, the Super Bowl was won almost on accident this year. Like, the better team maybe didn't win, and that's okay. That's part of their narrative. but
Yeah.
I want to see the best team win. And if that means best out of 3s in the regular season, best out of 5s for semis, and a best out of 7 for grand finals, that's what I want to see. So I like that a lot, that they're going to a best out of 3. It's not a huge fan of these like multiple splits, but it allows more events to happen.
And so,
so I'm okay with it.
That's my favorite thing. There are definitely downsides to the multiple splits, but more international events is cool, and I'm totally down, right? It's really cool, even if it's top 2 NA versus top 2 EU. Like, it's just cool to see where they stack up, and I'm totally stoked about that.
Yeah.
At the same time, I would have liked those events to be a little bit bigger, right? Like, two NA, 2 EU seems small, but
Okay.
I'll take it, just because it's international, and sort of seeing where the teams match up is really cool. It's also cool that the winners go to Brazil to face off against the top Brazilian teams or something like that. Like, that's just cool, too. Just throw in some extra international play, and we can really establish Smite as an international game. Just to mention on your 3v3 topic, or on your best of 3 topic, I will agree with you that right now I think Smite is a best of 3 game. I think our early game is explosive, and that might change with meta growth. Like,
elaborate.
I think teams can read early game better, and it can be a little bit more chess-like. That's not to say slower, but it's like, okay, they're here. That means they can do this and this and this, so we need to cover ourselves in this place. Like, there are elements of early game play that aren't fully explored in our game and can make the games more viable in a best of 1. Because the argument for why it should be a best of 3 is sometimes weird stuff happens and the game just ends. And that's not really indicative of the better team.
Sort of. I mean, and no matter what the meta is, that will totally be a thing, right?
That can happen, but
no matter what,
it should feel less accidental, right? Like, there are times it's totally legit in a best of 1 to pull out some crazy pocket strat and blindside your opponent, and that's cool. The problem is it should actually be crazy, right? Like, it shouldn't just be like, we picked Thanatos and killed you, and now you're dead and we win. Like, it should be like, we're gonna invade this camp and this camp with these gods, and you have these gods, and like, it should be a strategy.
I don't hate it.
So, right now,
I'll
definitely
never be
best
a
of 3.
1 guy.
Yeah, I mean, there are advantages and disadvantages for sure. Best of 1s take less time. That's a really big deal, because it means you get more games with different people. There's a lot of stuff going on here. I think our game is not suited to best of 1s right now, but perhaps with time it could be more suited to that.
I'll buy maybe more suited, but I don't think it will ever be a best. I just...
What game is?
Exactly. There is no game.
What, you watch fighting games like, yeah, welcome to the finals where we're doing a best of 7? StarCraft does a best of 9?
Well, I mean fighting games are ridiculous. We're gonna make it to the grand finals. We're gonna do a best of 30-12, and so reset the bracket. So now we got to go to a best of 9.5, and now it's down to the losers bracket, and we're gonna fly in some, like, I don't understand. There's like 8 grand finals in fighting games take as long as like the last 45 seconds of an NBA game. It's just ridiculous. But I mean, I a best of 7, a best of 5, that's exciting to me for finals for Smite and stuff like that. Because one of the things I like about Smite is the response, and I think that's I like that no matter what. Like, there's always in pro sports, there's always the like, well, they lost game 1, game 2 is going to be interesting, and like the mentality going into that is really, really intangible, but it's totally real. Just watch any of the Smite best of 5s we've had. You know, a team loses game 1, and like, hey, Krett, if I ask you, what happens if Mortality loses game 1 versus what happens when Old Dignitas loses game 1? It's 2 completely different conversations, is it not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
And well, that's so much fun.
Actually, no. It's, has Sayo started drinking yet, and has Lassus started drinking yet? But I understand what you're saying. My only complaint with best of 5s it like a best of 3. If it's a 2-0, you're like, word, that was exciting. It's a 2-0. We had 2 games
Right.
instead of 3, and this team clearly did something right. When it's a best of 5 and you get a 3-0, you actually feel a little bit gypped. More so, because you're just like, there was substantially less content than there could have been, and it often feels like it was a little less balanced.
Maybe. I mean, I don't really get that. I don't really get that. I like 2s, 3s, and I think Smite games last a little too long for a best of 7, but best of 7 is my ideal. Like, I would really like to see a best of 7 split amongst 2 days. Like,
Okay.
in F.Dot's perfect world, right? Worlds is a weekend of best of 7, you know,
You
like,
can cast that. I'm out.
no, we're like Saturday and Sunday, best of 7. It's just 2 freaking teams. They're going in, you know, and like the end of day 1, you're like, all right, it's 3-1, you know. Team Cognitive Orange is coming up strong, but you know, you wake up tomorrow, like that nighttime, that sleep on it. I love it. One of the most exciting things for me in Smite is, all right, we're gonna go and play against old Team Dignitas. Athena, all right, we'll ban like this thing. Okay, wait, they're taking Athena into the jungle? What the? We'd never. Well, we're not gonna ban her. Lazarus proceeds to destroy them, and they go, shit. I guess we got to ban that Athena jungle in game 2. That is so much fun to me. I love that. I love that. And I don't want that to go away because you don't get that with ones.
That's true. That's very true. You do get it over the course of a season, but like that's why like I'm okay with a season of best of ones, but then you take it to any sort of finals, tournament, playoff, weekend thingy that's not a season. Real talk, best of 3s. Because the reason like I'm fine with a season of best of ones is because you play the team again. So over the course of a season, it's like a best of 4. Or a best of 2.
I feel you. Yeah, no, I definitely feel you. In a perfect world, I want each team to play more than once, but I want them to be best of 3. So I'd like a longer season. That's like one of my actual league, you know,
and you're gonna hate this, but one of my actual favorite formats is best of 2. I think it's a really nice number. Yeah, best of 2. Grammatically, it doesn't work, but what it's 1-0.
2
1-1
is an even number.
Yeah, it's 2-0, 1-1, or 0-2, and you do it sort of like a point thing. So the team that wins the most 2-0s is, like, in the best circumstances. It can be really cool in a league, and I think it's a nice number of games to play.
Your descendants, like your great parents or grandparents, you're the type of person that invents the Electoral College, aren't you?
No, I would never do that. That makes no sense whatsoever.
If you win 2-0, you get 1 point for 2-0. If you get 1-1, each team gets 0.7 points. If you go 0-2, you get 0.3 points, so that if you get a 1-1 and an 0-2, you get a full point. And then we add that together with the 2-0 for 1 point. What the hell are you talking about, Krett?
You're the type of person that schedules the League World Championships to last 4 months. All right, so
I want a single championship
to last 4 months.
Yeah, we're gonna have a best of 27. Everybody join us for Friday through Thursday. No one's going home. Complimentary drinks. Oh man, but yeah, so it's
live from his hospital bed. It's Scott Gandhi.
Hey guys, they're all savages.
He's got like he's like 3 IVs going in to keep him
Dude,
hydrated.
I'm so excited for the season though.
Oh yeah,
like
it's gonna be
just
fun.
like bringing up the caster names. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like not even like fuck me casting, just like
fuck you
see
casting.
more shit. Like let's go Smite again. And just to reiterate, guys, it's each team plays each team once in these month-long splits. It's a best out of 3, and it lasts 4 weeks. And that all starts in March. So we'll get our first game of the SPL Season 2. March 5th. And leading up to that is the qualifiers. The top 2 teams from each region are already qualified. So we've got 2 cogs and we've got Cloud9 and the now, are they still unsponsored?
Yeah, they're
Cogred?
Team TBA.
Word. So we've got Cogred and Cloud9. They're already set in stone. And then Titan and SK Gaming, they're already set in stone.
Yep.
And then everybody else has to battle it out in like a 3-week weekly tournament, see who comes in first, the most points, and yada, yada, yada. So March 5th is the beginning, but make sure you turn up February 14th for qualifiers for like, I guess what we call like the preseason. I don't know. Those are the qualifiers for the real league. So it looks really complicated when you're looking at this shit, but at the end of the day, it's just season starts March 5th, and we decide who starts March 5th over the next 3 weeks. So
what you're saying is the people who invented this playing system also were heavily influenced by Quidditch.
Why do I do this?
Because you love the abuse. You've got quite a few complexes, my friend.
Oh my goodness. And just a reminder, the Challenger Cup, where your second place team at the Smite World Championships came from. Internalize that for a sec. All right. Challenger Cup will start on March 5th as well. It'll last a little longer than the first split, so to speak, the spring split, April 19th. And that's just weekly tournaments. Same thing as last year. Weekly tournaments, Grand Prix style. Points go depending on how you place each week. And then the top teams will get to play against the bottom teams of the Pro League to see if they can get into the next split, the summer split. But what this means is we're like the seasons are shorter. What this means is more events. So April 25th is a LAN event where NA and EU play against each other for a bunch of money, but also the top team from the event will go to Brazil and like play at some huge arena, and like it's crazy, and like hell yeah.
Really excited.
Totally excited.
It's so cool to see these other regions getting play. I mean, wasn't there word about Australian competitive play coming out and during this year? And then with the launch of Xbox Smite, like, some people are probably going to play it in some capacity. Maybe you will see the return of Smite Central 3v3 tournaments. Who knows? That seems relatively Xboxy.
I mean, I don't know how that's going to handle, like, if esports will be separate on the Xbox. I can't imagine it would be. I've spoken against that in the past, but we'll see how that works. I mean,
you realistically can't blink 180 fearless on a console the same way you can on a computer.
You can't. Well, I mean, you wouldn't be able to have, like, interchangeable or, like, cross platform. That's the word I'm looking for. You wouldn't be able to have cross-platform, but like
You kind of could. I mean, there are games where you plug in an Xbox controller.
Yeah, I mean, you can, but like, you can also play Major League Baseball with a wiffle ball bat. You're just not going to actually do anything.
Yeah, that's true. Shout out to Scott Gandhi.
So I mean, like, I don't know if they're going to separate it or not, but. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll have to see. Because, I mean, if anybody, like, I know Scott's, like, heavily involved with that, and, you know, the dude's, like, probably the best Xbox player in the world. I don't know. I'm convinced that, like, if I needed my tire changed, I could give him an Xbox controller, and he'd just claw grip it and get my tire changed. Like, I think he could just do stuff like that. So we'll see what happens with the Xbox
probably
scene.
Could.
We'll see what happens with the Xbox scene. I know Scott's going to treat that nicely, so we'll see how that works out. But I would love to see. I don't know how much, like, how excited I would be for a strictly Xbox League, but I definitely am excited to see the people that will be interested in Smite with the addition of Xbox for sure.
For sure, it's definitely a player-based expansion because it just seems to me like the first MOBA that you could actually play on a console and it not be garbage, right? Like, I remember playing Warcraft 2 on a PlayStation, and it was the worst experience of my life. Like, it's just not good, and click MOBAs are the same way. It's just not the right control scheme. Right. It's not going to end well.
Smite's the exception. Yeah. Smite, like
Yeah,
I've played with the controller and I've had a lot of fun.
it is. It feels good.
It
does
it,
feel
it
good.
really does. And I mean, like that's. I hate to like deride on Scott, but like, dude, he's changed that. He's made it so much nicer to play. Like, it was great when it first started out, but like, I was down in the office a couple of times. And they're like, "Hey, we're like testing this out. You want to try this or whatnot? Give us your feedback." And I was just like, "It works. I get it." And then Scott was like, "This button should do this, or this should be like this." And then, I come down the next time for SWC, and I was like, "Holy, this is a different. It just works."
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Like it really does pay off to have him around and be doing his thing. So that like I have like super faith in Xbox Smite. What I want to see is I want to see people get introduced to Smite via Xbox Smite, and then because you don't need a supercomputer to play Smite, be like, oh, I can play this on the Dell, and then like, become a pro Smite player on the PC. That's what I want. I'm sorry. I want the PC to reign supreme. I think that like maintaining 2 leagues is just 1, confusing for the viewer, 2, confusing for the player, 3, confusing for the. It's just like, why are there 2 different mediums? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't. There is the NHL. You don't have an ice hockey league and a roller hockey league. We just have ice hockey.
But you do have roller derby.
So
well, no,
like,
but my point is that like perhaps another game mode, right?
Okay. You do know that roller derby is nothing like hockey.
Exactly, but there's rolling. Is Siege anything like Conquest?
Yes.
There's
It's
towers.
very much like Conquest.
There's towers and lanes, but not really. There's like, well, all right. What does Conquest have? Strategy, early game, late game, mid game, in not that order. Objectives, a pick ban phase. What of those things does Siege have? Name one. It doesn't have any. It has towers. Siege has towers.
The objective is the same. I mean, Siege versus Conquest is more like American football rules versus Canadian football rules, or college basketball to NBA, where it's the same game, it's just simplified or whatnot. Roller derby is so like hockey is, you're on skates and you got to put the ball in the net. Roller derby is you roll around really fast in a circle and punch females. Like that's what roller derby is.
It's a truly Irish sport, isn't it?
there really is no connection. But
you roll.
But I get what you're saying. Maybe we can see like an arena league pop up on the Xbox or something like that, like an assault league. Or not an assault league. Arena or Siege, I guess, would be the 2 contestants. But God, do you remember competitive arena?
Tried to forget it. Wasn't too hard, and not too much happened.
Yeah. Hey guys, we're here in the grand finals of the Alienware Arena Cup. We've got the 2 best teams here, Cognitive Prime, and I think it was Team Dignitas. Very exciting game. We're here 33 minutes in. Teams are sitting on their back line, killing minions 1 by 1. The score is 257 to 256.
Wait. Hold that thought, F-Jot. Anister just uses Guan Yu heal on the minions. That's a huge mistake. His lane, or his minions, are gonna begin to push. This could be game-changing.
You want to know the best part, chat?
That actually happened.
It's scary, but that is an exact moment. Like, that was actually something that happened. Because I remember sitting there and just going, he just extended this game by 5 minutes. It was like a best of 3. We're all sitting there like, 257 versus 256. And their last hitting minions, 254 to 255, folks. Like, it was painful. So please, no more competitive arena. But yeah, maybe something different on the Xbox is what we'll see. I really want Conquest. I don't want fragmentation. I want PC Conquest, esports #1. Like, yeah. I always bring up the college football and the Dota problem. I want to watch Dota. Sweet. What league are you going to watch? There's 7. There's 3 amateur leagues. There's Chinese Dota. There's Southeast Asian Dota. There's Indonesian Dota. There's Dota on Madagascar. There's like different Dota league for each Hawaiian island.
But to be
like,
fair,
go home.
I mean, how is that different from having North American Smite and European Smite and Latin American Smite and Australian
it's related.
Smite and Chinese Smite? Okay, so the Dota is just completely weird, is what you're saying.
Basically, yeah. I mean, Dota is... There's just far too much. And I mean, so NA and EU are closely related in the sense that like the end of the tunnel is there and they're both covered, right? And that's the Smite Pro League is North America, Europe. We don't really see Latin America. We don't really see Australia, right? And I think that's a problem. And maybe we can look at that in the future. Because that's one of the cool things about esports is that we're international. But you take a look at sports and they're divided the same way, you know, Eastern, Western Conference or North, South Conference or, you know, Cactus League and Lobster League or whatever, right? But with the guys, if they're all going, you know, the National League and the American League are all going to, they're all Major League Baseball, they're going to the World Series, right? And like the 2 American football organizations, they're going to the same Super Bowl, right? The North American, European, South American, and Australian, they're going to the same SWC. So that's all a part of one thing, right? And there's a real connection in the sense that, like, you qualify, you do spring split, you qualify, you do summer, you qualify, you do fall, you go to SWC or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure that's what APC said today, right? That's for everyone. You start off in Brazil or wherever, and you say, this is my checklist to get to the World Championships. When you play Dota, you just do real good and hope Daddy Valve recognizes you and invites you to the Invitational. For God's sakes, it's called the Invitational, Krett. Like, that bothers me. Because what small team is going to come out of, you know, twitch.tv/
Are we going to see Kaboom, right? The team that showed up to, like, League of Legends World Championships from Brazil and took a game off of Alliance.
Right.
Like, probably not. Probably won't see them at the International. And, you know, we might see them at Worlds. OMG almost did that in Smite. They were looking they first blooded Cogred.
Yeah.
Or was that DID? I don't know. Some Chinese did. And, you know, there's different things. You know, maybe they caught Cogred off guard. Maybe Snoopy's a really bad player. Maybe...
But, I mean, there's a direct relationship, and I think that's what makes or breaks it for me personally, is there's a direct relationship and a direct path, so it's all considered part of the same narrative, where, like, you know, like, each individual tiny league has their own, like, championship or whatever, and then when the Invitational comes around, Dota's like, we select these. And, I mean, I'm not a fan of that, really.
It
like
sucks.
One of the things I hate the most, like, everybody gets all excited about college sports, and one of the things I hate the most is that they're ranked, and that's how their seeds are ranked by, like, a governing body. Where it's just like, I guess a Smite comparison would be like people like me, people like Krett, you know, analysts, etc. They put us all in a room and they're like, hey, you know all of those Smite teams ever? Order them, and we'll seed them like that. That to me is really, like, weird and Illuminati, and I'd rather just... I like when you go, well, Danica Patrick is number 1 because she was the fastest going around the track, so she gets pole position. Like, when you can see that, that's important to me. That's like sport to me. So I think it's very important that we're connected. So the fragmentation of, like, an Xbox League, I want to stay far away from that. I just want to see Conquest, SPL, PC, do it big. Because, I mean, dude, it's already a lot to keep track of all the teams. You want to add, like, another separate league? That's ridiculous.
All right, so this is a little bit of a throwback topic, but I think it should be mentioned since we're talking about Season 2 esports. There were some people who were saying, this is ridiculous. These Latin American teams, these Chinese teams have no place at Worlds. They should have 2 more teams from NA and 2 more teams from EU. Those people, if you think that, you're a fool. And here's why.
Why?
Brazil is the 2nd largest region for Smite. What the fuck? course they get to go to Worlds! They want to see their best fucking players compete against the best players in NA! They're a huge part of our fucking fan base! What? What? We're trying to grow in China, of course they're gonna go! We want to see how OMG can do, we want to see how TID can do, we want to see how Bing, who's considered the best player in China, can do going up against Omega. That's awesome for them! That's awesome for us! Stop being whiny! Ah!
You gonna make a Reddit thread?
No, it's in the past. I just need to get that off my chest. We didn't have this talk show going when people were complaining about that.
You gotta put the past. You gotta put your behind in your past. Or your past behind you.
What? It's already gone.
I mean, that's a good point. That's a really good point, because we're gonna have this conversation again when the Australians come to town.
Now, the other option, Gamazor bringing this up in chat, all of the teams could have been NA teams, and that would have been the best.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, you're going to see the same thing come out of Australia this time around.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, because Australia is going to mimic Brazil very much so, where you're like, oh, customs. I know that name. Who the hell is everybody else? Sort of like how we are with QE3Q, right? And like, it's going to be a similar situation. So, I mean, basically, the way it works, folks, is that this is a Smite World Championship, not the, like, it's the best teams from each region, regardless if one region is stronger than the other. That's something that should be proven in an international play of test, right? And so, let's say you watch the Chinese teams play, and you're like, dude, I'm watching Chinese team versus Chinese team, and I'm watching American team versus American team. Clearly the Americans are better. Like, duh. Like, anecdotally, sure. But you have no idea how that's going to go head to head.
Well, and to be fair, and maybe this is a topic we can jump into a little bit later, when you have my level of understanding of the game, you can maybe make that.
Yeah.
You can come to that opinion.
You can come to that opinion.
If you're anything less than an avid viewer, you're probably not informed enough.
10 points for watch
teams play. You're probably not informed enough to just watch teams play into completely different metas and determine which teams are superior.
But here's the thing that you can't always see in that situation, Krett, is adaptability.
Yeah.
And
or the meta itself. Like,
yeah,
maybe it's actually just a really good meta.
Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, like there's maybe say double jungle or zero jungle, right? Something completely wilded out there. There are a number of reasons why both of them are poor and wouldn't exist and wouldn't do excel, right? But let's pretend like it's on an even keel, right? Say zero jungle, double jungle. That's what Australia's playing. People are like, what the hell? Clearly they're wrong. Single jungle's the best. They come in and, well, I guess not. Holy shit. You know, like Krett said, if you spend a lot of time around the game, you might be able to make some sort of informed opinion, but you don't know how these players adapt. So, hey, you know, they come into America and they play game one and they're like, shit, that's not going to work. Let's see game two. And then everything changes because these players are fantastic at keeping their opponent on their toes and changing their strategy. And these are the types of things that can only be proven in like a live setting, right? So what you have two options is you have sort of like a international qualifier stage that feeds into a championship, but those have to be two separate events, right? Because you can't have like come for a week of championships, you know what I mean? So you can't really have these teams play against each other logistically until Worlds, at which point that's when it's time to see who's the best. Yeah. And I think that's totally fair. And I really like that layout.
And it's really cool. To be honest, I think if we had more time, the best way to do it is sort of a League of Legends style group stage, right? Where, like, you're like, here's your group. You've got one NA team, one EU team, one Chinese team, one team from somewhere else. So for us, it would be like Latin America, Brazil, Australia, and some wild card, or like a second Brazilian team or something, right? And then you just, like, those are your groups, and you have one of each, and that's really cool. And so even if the NA teams are favorited, then they all get, like, the favorited teams, if they win all their matches, get into the bracket, and you have quote unquote the best brackets, but you still get to see your Chinese team play up against your North American team, or your Brazilian team play against your European team, and that's really cool. That's a big part of the World Championship.
I mean, I'll always speak against group stages, Krett,
Because you hate them, and you prefer the Quidditch style.
Okay. Explain to I'm gonna earn a lot of points here.
Yeah.
Explain to the Muggle,
Okay.
what Quidditch style is.
I have no idea. It's
God
whatever
damn it, I
you
hate
like.
I really thought that there was like a Quidditch style.
No, there
much.
isn't. There isn't
But
at all.
no, I mean, I like group stages. Well, why'd you play a regular season?
Well, but these are international group stages. I mean,
why'd you? I mean,
it's like, how do you know how Brazil's gonna stack up against North American? How do you feed them into a bracket? That's the point of a group stage.
I guess. And I'm down for a light group stage to determine seedings, but like,
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be okay with
You
like
don't
seed
like
setting
the
seedings, dude.
you don't like the majority of the work of the tournament being done in a group stage setting.
Yeah, like the spectacle should be, because I just feel like group stages are unexciting.
Okay.
And it's a necessary evil in some sorts, like in some sorts. Like what happened with the SWC, where like Friday was just group stages. Like you had to have that in order to make Saturday and Sunday really dope, right? So I just
I think that's the problem with a world championship, right? In the playoffs, you don't. I mean, assuming your region is strong, so looking at the EU scene, excluding the fact that Mortality choked, you didn't need a group stage because every game was cool. Every game was great, except for the fact that Mortality choked. And so, like, there's no need for a group stage. All of your games are dope. You can just play the tournament. You don't have to seed anyone.
Right.
Like, it's fine. Now, the problem is there's sort of the NA thing where 5 and 6 were a little too far behind. They did well, but it didn't feel like 3 and 4 were really in danger. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Group stages are just, there's no finality.
Yeah.
And this is something that like, it's something me and Hi-Rez do really agree on, is that like finality is really important when it comes to large events, because like even watching Melee, which Smash Brothers Melee is a really exciting game regardless if you follow it or not, because the players in the sport are interesting. There's equal part like cool people and like weird nerdy people, and it's really like, well, that guy fell in a hole, he died, he lost. Like, it's easy to understand from like a layman standpoint, but it's technical. It's exciting. You can turn on Apex and be like, holy shit, that's cool. This guy's playing Yoshi. That's weird. It's pan flutes. I don't know how I feel, but this generally is cool. But you sit there and you watch and you're like, all right, Mango lost. Now he goes and tries again. And he makes it to the finals and he loses a best of 5, but he tries again. Like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
Double elimination is weird. There's no like, and I mean, that's the one thing I spoke down about American football's like, you play one game a week. You're like, final season score is like 7 and 12, like if that many games, right? There's like a small amount of games. And then like you make it to the playoffs and like, dog, you lose and you're out. It doesn't matter if like, you know, your star player like got the measles the day before, like tough shit, dude. You get one game. And like, that's exciting as hell. That is really cool. That's a lot of fun. And when you sit there, like, you shouldn't, especially in sports that have like, you know, best out of 3, best out of 5, like, you played, you lose, go home. The regular season is done. You can't lose anymore. And I think that's really important to set the stage for an event. Otherwise, it just feels like you're there watching a lot of esports, which is cool, but it doesn't have the same, like, they can't lose. If they lose, they're going home. Yeah. And I think that's a big draw.
It really can be. I don't know. I don't really think I have too much more to say on the subject, except for the fact that season 2 is really exciting. And actually, yeah, one last thing. I think this is the one thing that I do like about best of ones in a season is I think there is a little bit of finality, right? In that it's like you play this game and you have to win it, or you're not going or you're just down against this team, and the next time you play them is going to be harder. And I think a best of 3 does eliminate a little bit of that in one way. It's really an interesting conversation. There's a lot going on in the way that you manage an event like this, and even the standards for whatever MOBA or fighting games. There's stuff to say for and against them, like the double elimination in like Apex or in like Evo, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is really confusing, but at the same time, it would be really messed up if you got to top 8 and there were all these players that like weren't there because they got surprised in a counter matchup in like a game that was like 18 rounds ago. There's just too many games to not have double elimination in a fighting game tournament, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, and I bash on the fight, and I bash on double elim, and fighting games are just like the go-to because they're always double elim. But I mean, there's just a lot like.
It's definitely better in fighting games than it is in MOBAs. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's just I'm so attached to the feeling of heartbreak. And I know that sounds backwards, but bear with me. I'm so attached to the feeling of heartbreak. Remember, I watch a lot of Knicks games. I watched the Knicks, I watched the Nuggets when Carmelo was there, losing in the first round, right? Like basketball's got like 3 rounds of playoffs, right? And you like, sweet, you're one of the top 8 teams to make it, and you lose your first set of 5 and like, fuck off, see you next year. And that feeling of like dejection and because sport is emotion, and I'm gonna get there, I promise. But like sport is emotion, and like when you're in a bar or any sort of environment where like everybody's watching the game, whether it's StarCraft or football or Counter-Strike or Smite, right? When you're sitting there and like, especially in a regional game where everybody's rooting for the same team. So, like, take the Super Bowl, for example. I'm in a New York bar. Not everybody's a Seahawks fan, but everybody hates the Patriots, so everybody's a Seahawks fan then, right? And you see, basically, the wrap up of the Super Bowl was there was like a minute left to go or some ungodly small amount. The Seahawks were down because the Patriots just got a great touchdown, and like they get this miraculous catch. It like bounces off the dude's leg. He like bobbles it. He does the Macarena and then catches it like before hitting the floor, right? And it's this once in a lifetime catch. And they're like handed a touchdown. They're like an inch away from the goal line. All they have to do is like literally walk the ball in. They get 4 more tries to do it, and they like fuck it up. They like throw the ball, interception. They lose the Super Bowl, the finals, the championships, right? And watching the atmosphere, because it's final. There's no like, well, you lose, you reset the bracket. There's no you lose, you go to double limb. There's none of that. Watching the crowd, when the guy caught the ball miraculously, just get elated. Sweet, we're going to win. This is it. That's it. There's like 3. That's it. That's it. And then watching the crowd like get super mad when that interception happened. That's what sports is. That's why I watch what I watch. That's why I tune into Smite. You know, when you're just watching that and when you're watching that final team fight and the Vulcan ult misses and Vulcan gets abused by Wheelix, and you just go, damn, that game is going to determine everything. That finality, that up and down of emotions, that passion, that's why we do what we do. And by giving teams double elimination and other chances, you lose that sense of finality. And I think that's super important. Super important. So I want to preserve that, and I don't like best of ones. I don't like double limb and safety shit. So I'm looking forward to it.
I think that's a good place to end that conversation. I want to switch gears to a recent announcement by a League of Legends tournament organizer, Garena, who runs tournaments in the Philippines. And they announced that their new season was going to have an all-women's league, and that league would only allow one LGBT player per team, which is ridiculous. And we all know that. I hope so. And before we get into it, I want to explain this is gonna actually, you're gonna be mad in about 5 seconds. I want to explain this theory on understanding change in terms of racism and sexism by a philosopher named Richard Wasserstrom.
Worcestershire?
Richard Wasserstrom.
Richard Worcestershire?
Or maybe
Worcestershire
it's
sauce is
I don't
sort
know.
of like
Anyway,
a bitter sour
so
type sauce that
here's the
sometimes
idea.
you put on French fries.
Here's the idea.
Red
What
meat.
you do is you say, what's the reality? Women aren't as successful in esports. What's the ideal? Women are as successful as men in esports. How can we get there? And I think the idea that this organization was doing was trying to bridge the gap between the reality and the ideal. That's how we need to evaluate what they were doing. Does that part make sense?
I mean, I still like Worcestershire sauce is like molasses and sugar.
Sure. The point is, when you look at it from that perspective of going from reality to ideal, it's still fucking wrong. And it's changed now because there was a big community outcry. But I feel like it's just like a cultural not knowing what to do. Like,
Well,
they're
I
just
mean-
like, how do we handle this?
Exactly, and I mean, I think that goes to say a bit of the difference between cultures, right? I feel like this issue is a little more sensitive in other parts of the world.
Sure.
America definitely has its issues. I mean, but we're a little progressive as far as that's concerned. In the Middle East, and I think Southeast Asia, where Garena, where this was a Filipino.
This is the Philippines, yeah.
Okay.
They're very unique.
I don't know much about their culture.
They're a unique
but
region in terms of
All right.
LGBT things.
Okay, so essentially, like, the idea is that, like, look, in our culture, these people are basically the faulty thought process is that women that are, you know, born as a female have one set of like skills or skill ceiling, and people that identify as women have a different set of skill ceiling. And so, okay, if you want to be, for example, a trans woman, right? We accept that, but your skill ceiling, you know, still remains male or whatnot. And that's the faulty thought process. And so there's a thought process there. It's just incorrect. But the thing that I want to drag out of this is really the power of the community. Because I mean, like,
and before you drag it out, I want to say one last thing on this subject. There will be situations where cultures will do stuff like this because of the way that they are, their understandings of certain issues. And sometimes the community won't say anything. Or, you know, it's not like a global issue, so you just look at it and you're like, wow, this really sucks. And you can't, like, that's really saying something more about you than it is about them. They just, like, they're not as progressive on this issue, and hopefully that can change with time. But this is a situation where esports is a global thing, and we're actually able to, we as people who are involved with esports, watch esports, etc., we're actually able to make change, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, and like Krett said, this is an international effort, and certain areas of the world are a little more progressive, whether it's LGBTQ or it's you know, women in gaming. We talked a little bit about that last year or last week. It is a part where the community has a huge voice. I mean, there was DreamHack winner Hearthstone, male only tournament, women can't play.
Yeah.
The again faulty thought process was
it's fucking Hearthstone.
Faulty thought process was we gave women their own tournament, and sports will like us if we split up. 1949, NASCAR had its first race. 1949, NASCAR had its first female in the race. Sorry, folks. Sports don't have to be split. Shouts to
No.
NASCAR. But
Like,
going
first
forward,
of all,
like-
what's funny is it's fucking NASCAR, right? Second of all, NASCAR, what do? You sit in a driver's chair and you drive in circles.
Well,
Hearthstone, what do? You sit in a comfortable chair by a fire and you play a card game on a laptop.
Yeah. I mean, basically, like, I've been saying that motorsports are the closest thing to esports for a long time, and, like, we can both take a number of suggestions from each other. But what I was saying about DreamHack Winter was, you know what happened? Everyone got pissed. Everyone made a Reddit thread. Everyone tweeted. Everyone got pissed. And DreamHack was like, yo, our bad. And they changed it. You know what happened with this Filipino league for League of Legends? Everyone got pissed. Everyone made a Reddit thread. Everyone tweeted. And they were like, yo, our bad. And they fixed it. That's the power of community, dude. Like,
You know what I feel bad about, though?
it's incredible.
That probably blew up at, like, 3 a.m. Filipino time. So they just wake up and they're like, oh my god, what?
They're like, oh, everybody hates us. We thought we were doing something good. We said you could take one. What the? Okay, fine, we lose. Whatever. Like,
Yeah. It's like, okay, yeah, we'll change it. That's all it is. And that's awesome that we made that change and that they made that change. It's just nice to see the esports community acting as a group intelligently and affecting things that are important.
yeah, no, and I mean, and that's what's really cool because we're always focused on like the Reddit threads at the top about BMing streamers, or we're looking at R Kappa, or we're following hostile people on Twitter, you know. But the loudest, like, it's always the vocal minority that gets noticed. And so, like, you might have a sour taste in your mouth about that stuff, but you take a look at, like, what's gone on. And I mean, like, those two serious topics of segregation with men and women with DreamHack Winter and their recent situation in the Philippines with League of Legends, go back to our own brackets. Like, brackets for Worlds were kind of shitty at first, and everybody was like, nah, they're kind of shitty at first. And Hi-Rez was like, well, what do you want? And they didn't just take the community's word for it. They like did work and they looked at it. But one of the important things there is that the community had a voice, and they had a good voice. And when it comes down to it, did anybody dislike how Worlds happened? Did you dislike the Friday group, Saturday, Sunday, like, elimination, Krett?
No, but I hated your interviews.
Fantastic. I thought it worked out well. I really liked Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I don't even like group stages. And I thought that was the way it had to be, and I liked it. And that's the community. So, I mean, like, that's one of the coolest things. I think the esports community as a whole is a very progressive thinking community that really, like, thinks about the large picture and is very capable of doing big things. So in the future, you know, try not to think about all the negative shit that, like, comes through the spaghetti filter, but, like, realize that y'all have a voice. And I mean, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, but, like, we can change stuff. Like I said, I mean, you know, we are unique in the sense of that as an esport, we can do things that pro sports can't do, right?
Yeah, we totally can, because it's effectively a level playing field. So I wanna move on to our last topic for the evening, which is, as some people were mentioning in chat, and as you mentioned, the vocal minority is the loudest, and they're often the hostile people, and that sucks, right? So, like, as a person who enjoys esports, but I don't watch too much World of Tanks, if there's yeah, that's the example I went to because I watch everything else. If there's something that happens, like, if there's something that happens in the World of Tanks scene that I'm gonna hear about, it's either really good news or really bad news, And if I go and look at the World of Tanks scene, like on Twitter, I go like World of Tanks, who's on Dignitas? Those
These
people,
8 players.
yeah, those like 12 players, they should be representing their game well by being professional. And that's really important for all levels of professional personalities in esports, and especially players. And, you know, I think this is one of the disadvantages we have to professional sports, right? Professional sports, you, like, scouts start watching people in middle school, right? This player, like, is doing it for a long time, whereas we have pro players who just sort of stumbled into it and now they're in the pro league after, like, what, 6 months of playing professionally?
Well, I think one of the biggest differences is the amount of not just money but infrastructure. I think I just killed something.
You did.
But not just money but infrastructure. It should be better now. Like, there's a lot of money involved in that stuff. And so there's a lot of money, there's a lot invested. You don't just sort of like wake up and represent the New York Yankees. You know what I mean? When you're going through the process of being courted by the New York Yankees, there is media training, which some of our pros have gone through. There are, and we're starting to see that, you know, Smite pros got some media training, you know, they know how to talk to a camera or whatnot. But like moving past that and sort of like conduct and stuff like that, we don't really like the game's terms of service regulate it, right? And I mean, that's almost good enough. I don't want to get into like this like crazy league where, you know, sometimes I feel like the LCS rules are a little too strict.
Yeah, they're kind of restrictive.
Yeah, they're very restrictive. I like free
If you
speech.
want to know
I like
more,
seeing who my pros are.
If you want to know more about what we actually mean, Ultra David, which I believe is just at Ultra David on Twitter, did a thing where he got an LCS contract and broke it down. He is a lawyer. And so that's actually really interesting if you want to know a little bit more about what happens with that. But we're definitely less restrictive than that, which is good. At the same time, you know, and it's totally cool for pros to have some bad blood. Shang no longer on Dignitas. That's going to be a cool match. Or, well, they're not Dignitas, but that's going to be a cool match the next time we see it, right? But you don't want Shang to be calling Lass's horrible racist names on Twitter. Like, that's not a good thing in any way.
Him to be calling Lass's horrible on Twitter.
Right. That's fine. That's shit talk.
Which is like,
there's a difference between talking smack and actually representing your game horribly.
Yeah, and I mean, like, that's something that we get. I mean, there's like a fine line, and this, that, and the third, and like, you know, I want to see the personal side of players. Like, you can't, you know, as a League of Legends player in the LCS, you can't really like stream other stuff. You know what? I want to watch Sio play H1N1 with his friends.
Z1.
Or whatever.
Z1.
Whatever, dude. What is H1N1? The bird flu?
It's a disease, yeah.
Isn't it the bird flu? Like...
You want to watch Sio with H1N1 with his friends. That's horrible. We're trying to talk about representing our community well.
Bird flu. I want to watch, you know, Rust be played by the dudes from Fnatic. Too soon. I want to watch these guys have fun, you know? I want to see who Drew Boyd is beyond Laz's, because I love his play, and I love watching him at night, like, drink a beer and get loose with his friends. I like that. I think that's a really unique thing that esports, specifically Smite, has, because we're not, like, overbearing in the contracts. But at the same time, you got to know your limits, right? And I mean, that's, like... That's one of the things that we have going forward as we see all these new pros and these new players. You know, that you got to be aware that you're in a spotlight now, and there's a certain amount of negativity, and like, that's cool. Omega is known for being like the BM bad guy, and
that's really cool to have. That's such a cool personality to have in the scene.
Everybody knows that he's one of my favorite players because of it. Like, I love to watch that shit.
Yeah.
It's like I love to watch it. One of my favorite plays in Smite isn't the kill the support, rush the gold figure at 7 minutes. It isn't the ward the enemy speed camp. It's let's get mid tower with 4 of us, and Omega stands in front of the tower hitting VET. That's
play.
my favorite play in Smite.
It's a good
He just
play.
sits there with the Vamana bat like, yeah, buddy, or whatever he says. And you're just like, dude, nobody's messing with you because you're just like, I'm better. I'm better than you. Like,
Yeah.
I'm better
It's great.
than you. And like, that's fun. But the second you move to like ad hominem and like stuff specifically about a person, that becomes a little wishy-washy. And like,
Well, and
you know,
here's the
players
other
need to
thing.
understand that they need to move away from that.
Here's the other thing about the I'm better than you. The idea of professional players is that they are better than us at playing the game, which is totally cool. Like, that's the idea.
Yeah.
At the same time, there have been instances in esports history where players have gone after the community in some way, and that is just not a good road to go down in any way. Like, yeah, Smite game is full of shitters. The chat during a tournament, they're like, why is this guy building
It's the
Forge
bleacher.
Hammer first item? Like, yeah, they're just the bleachers. It's like, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about and they're annoying and they think they know the game. Whatever. You just gotta let it go. Sky Williams on YouTube has a video talking about the problem with the League of Legends community, and he basically says that kid is a 14-year-old kid named Melvin who can't get laid, and he's taking it out on you. And, like, that's just how you have to look at it.
Krett, were you having physical relations at 14?
No.
Get shit on. Melvin.
My name's not Melvin! My name is Krett! My name is Krett!
Melvin from Connecticut!
My name is Krett! That's my name.
Krett, Melvin, Krett.
Alright, whatever. Have I ever told you guys what the F stands for?
Man. But I mean, like, that's
Fajita.
I do like fajitas. I
Confirmed!
do like fajitas. But,
When he was
I mean,
14, it stood for Farmville.
I mean, that's the fun of it. I mean, I think you were talking about like going back at the community. I mean, that's a I don't want to say maturity thing because I'm not like calling anybody out, but like
Yeah.
I sort of like went off on people. I think it was like a Smite update type deal. I didn't really have a proper platform one time to really handle it, but it was just like, dude, like, Carmelo Anthony wakes up every day to the back page of the New York Post calling him a failure. He's one of the 10 best players in basketball right now. Phil Jackson is arguably the best mind in all of basketball. He's the president of the Knicks right now, which means like he's got to like move players around. He's the one that like fires Shadow Q and hires Dare to Care, right? Like they've got people in suits doing that. And he's like supposedly one of the best minds of basketball. They're losing a lot. The headline today was Board of the Rings. And they were just like, is Phil Jackson an idiot? Like they didn't even sugarcoat it. They just asked if he was an idiot.
And, like, that's just, like, that's just media, right? Like,
yeah.
no,
Like, that's
he's
what
not
it
an
is.
idiot.
Exactly.
And, like, it's just pointless to get mad at that. Like, it's funny. There's the video from, what is it, COD, where the guy goes, look at my bank account. Look at my bank account.
You're watching. You're sitting there watching.
And, like, that's great, but at the same time, if you take it any further than that, any further, you're basically wasting your time and making yourself look like an asshole.
Yeah, I mean that's what it is. I mean, basically, it's sort of what we're doing here. It's sort of a plea to the pro players or the future pro players to just shut the hell up and understand that you're there and they're not. Like, it was that's one of my favorite clips. Krett, if you could like prime that up, go ahead. That's one of my favorite clips. And it's said in the complete wrong way. But it's correct. Look at my bank account. I'm sitting here and you're the one watching. Because I spend 15 hours a day playing Smite. You don't, dude. I'm the pro. You're not, dude. So when you're sitting there calling me an idiot for building Heartseeker on Bastet because you don't understand what 100% scaling means, you're the dumb guy. When you're sitting there calling Laz an idiot because he, jumped into 1v3 because he had his Hercules 3-up or some nonsense, like, he knows what he was doing. That was a calculated decision. Let him do that. Feel free to say that was an incorrect response, and we'll talk. And we'll talk about that in a sec. But like, these players have earned their spot, and as a player, like I said, I'm talking to the players. You've earned your spot, and be confident in the spot you've earned. Understand that like what you know is probably more than 90% of the people out there. You're going to have people that know what they're talking about, and you might want to listen to them though.
Yeah, sometimes it is important to get a different opinion. That's what coaches are for. So I want to leave you with a 13-second thought, and then let's wrap up the show. But
well, before we wrap, I wanted to show the flip side of that whole conversation.
Hold on. All right, I had to run the clip. It's a good clip. We're back. Other side of the conversation.
So pros, when Smite Game Chat is like chastising you for buying an item that you have done the math on and everything, don't think about it. And you shouldn't think about what anybody says outside of your organization. Your 4 teammates, your coach, your analyst, your barber, your psychologist, your sports psychologist, whatever it is, that your home team is your home team, right? Like, that's what you need to listen to, and that's what you need to internalize. But at the same time, you also need to realize that some of these players out there, or some of these fans out there, are educated and watch every single goddamn game. So one of my least favorite things ever is X jungler is better than X jungler. You can't say that. You're in bronze.
You're just mad because you are in bronze.
Like, what I'm saying is, just as much as the pro player should not pay any mind to the fan ever, the fan can sometimes have an accurate thought process. Like,
or just have an opinion.
Yeah. They're not I mean, I can think of a couple of people off the top of my head who I would have a conversation about Pro Smite with and be down. I am not a pro player. I can have a conversation about Pro Smite and have it mean something. I can look at a play that a pro player made and say, that was a horrible play. You're right. It was one of the top 10 plays in the world if you want to compare the entire Smite community. But I'm not comparing. When I say Annister is terrible on LAN, I'm not comparing him to me or Kelly or Noxim in chat. Name is Hobbs in game. Good player. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not comparing him, like, Annister on LAN to, like, your little brother in Silver 2. I'm comparing him to Lazes and Raffer and the other junglers at LAN. Like, it's a closed conversation, right? So you can call Xing a bad solo laner. You know what? Xing's going to beat 95% of you in the solo lane. But he looked awful last season because he's out of position. Like, not out of position in the lane, just he's a jungler. He's playing out of his position in the solo lane. That's not what he's good at. He was a bad solo laner. He's still going to beat 95% of you fuckers out there. So, on the same vein that pros should not pay any mind to fans, everyone should understand, pros and fans alike, that sometimes fans can know what they're talking about. The comparisons, you will always be top percentile of Smite players, but we're just talking about that top percentile of Smite players.
Well, sure, and the other thing is, there are fans that are full of shit, and like, you shouldn't listen to them, right? There are people who say IRAF is a shitty support, and they won't have any reason. But if someone's like, I think IRAF is a bad support because he takes too much farm from his hunter, he secures kills, he goes in at the drop of the hat, like, that's fine. That's an actual conversation, and you could argue that he is a good support because he does those things, right? Or those create a playstyle for him, and you can have an actual conversation. And it's just important to differentiate with the people who are able to have a conversation,
Right.
and the people who aren't. You know, and there are situations where a pro player might not want to. Well, they probably don't want to have that conversation because they probably are more informed. But you know, like, so you could be like, well, you know, like a play could look bad, and you're like, this was one of the worst plays in competitive Smite, and you might be right that it didn't work out, but you might be wrong about why. So it might have looked bad because the play was called based on someone crossing a ward,
Right.
but that play was actually baited, or like this other thing, right? Like, it can be a lot more complex, maybe, but generally, intelligent criticism, even of professional people, is still intelligent.
Yeah. And that intelligent conversation is sort of like what makes a community. Like, I mean, the
So
same
it gives
thing,
people stuff to tweet about, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing. You go to the bar and you talk about basketball, and this guy's like, "Carmelo's the best player ever." You're like, well, I mean, there are other people that have a better shooting percentage. Carmelo's the best player. You're like, all right, dude. And then you go home and you look at ESPN, and that's pretty much like you got your Smite game and you got your ESPN.com, which is like, Smite Central, maybe, where it's like, I sort of know what I'm talking about, but Carlisle's the best player. And then you get to like reddit.com/NBA. And it's like, well, in this situation, when driving to the right 33% of the time, you know what I mean? And that's the conversation that I'm talking to. Having a higher level conversation of Smite is totally, totally doable by people that don't play high level Smite. It's totally doable.
That said, at the same time, there are often some unique factors that you might not pick up on in the same way as someone who does play at that level. Or like,
I don't necessarily think
stuff that you might need to be told instead of just realizing yourself.
Yeah, but I mean that's what those conversations.
Yeah, totally. Like, you could still have it, but generally the people who play the game in that high level have more of an insider perspective.
I don't think that there's anything like, I don't know. There's no information that's only shown to the player. Like you said, that play was made because of a bait or a tripped over a ward. Wards are shown on the minimap. An educated fan that's been watching Smite for 2-3 years can totally discern that, like, the reason the blue team got jumped there was because Red saw them walk over a ward and baited it.
But it's also about being in situations like that and knowing what sort of plays you make on that situation and sort of getting in the mind of the player, which a high-level player is more likely to be able to do better. Not saying that someone who's bronze can't get in the mind of a professional player and be like, oh, they made this decision because of this thing, or that looks like there was a lack of communication between their mid and jungler, but someone who is in Masters or in Diamond or in Platinum is likely to be able to do that a little bit easier.
I mean, I guess so. You can watch streams of both Platinum matches, Diamond matches, Masters matches. You can watch, a lot of times players stream their actual pro games. I think that there's enough information out there for somebody to completely, like, I mean, our analysts at both Hi-Rez and our outside analysts like you are at Masters. I think that some of our super
come
fans,
on, I'm Diamond 3. Give me some
not
credit.
Masters, not
I haven't
SPL.
played in 4 months.
Our quote-unquote avid
SPL.
watchers, avid viewers, like MLB Star and shit, I think they could have a conversation at a high level of competitive Smite. And, I don't always think that that's sort of, I don't think it's a requirement to really understand the game.
It's not. It's absolutely not a requirement, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that playing the game at a high level is another way, and a good way, to get information needed to have that intelligent conversation.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, definitely. It's either you're gonna play it yourself and really learn by making mistakes. You're gonna be a student of the game,
you have to be an avid viewer to do that.
But that you can't really put like super fan.
Avid viewer.
So I don't know. Basically, in closing, what I'm saying is that we're gonna have a lot of new pros out there, and understand that if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. You are going to be under a spotlight. You are going to be on stage. You're going to be in the limelight. You are going to be the focal point for a lot of people.
And that's your brand.
Yeah, and you're going to be
Like,
criticized.
that's actually what you're getting paid to do. Like, right? Like, the esports is like, it's so awesome to see these games played professionally. But the professional players, half of their job is playing the game, and half of their job is being professional players. Like, just existing and doing what they do, and creating that conversation and that viewership. They're a content creator, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's a lot more that goes into it than just playing the game, and you can take a look at that. Sort of like what Complexity does. You know, they're churning out videos and stuff like that. There's a lot of other side involved in there.
I mean, even like in the match, you're creating content, right? Like that's a big part of esports and the marketability and the money involved.
Yes. I mean, that's why sports players are paid $8 bazillion.
Yeah,
a year.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're not paid $8 bazillion a year because some guy with a lot of money really likes football. It's because a lot of people really like watching football.
Yeah, it's because 121 million people will watch the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
121 million. We'll be there someday. But for now, we still have hundreds of thousands of people, tens of thousands of people watching, and you got to be okay. You got to be able to deal with criticism. You got to be able to deal with that stuff, and you can't completely discount people's opinions just because they're fans. Sometimes fans know what they're talking about. But at the same time, you shouldn't be paying too much attention. You should work on getting better yourself. So if you're a hopeful for the pros, take a look at the Challenger Series starting March 5th. And be a part of that. That's or even February 14th is when week 1 qualifiers. Try to do that. And if you don't get in, then go to the Challengers March 5th. That's your path to becoming a Smite Pro. Keep everything in mind that we said about being a pro, conduct, and all that shit, because all that's really important. So it's more than just hogging Gold Fury and clearing creep waves. There's a lot of outside the line stuff that goes into being a Smite Pro and an esports pro. So bear that in mind and grow some thick skin because you're going to need it. But
at the same time, on the other side, have some respect for your professional players as well. They're people.
Yeah, I mean, like, don't be a dirtbag. That's like my general rule of life. Like, you're not going to go to the deli and like watch some dude put something heavy on his bread and be like, what a fucking idiot, dude. Now your bread's all squashed. You suck. You're the worst shopper ever. Get your wife to do it. Go home. You're not going to do that, dude. So when you're watching the game, you might say that out loud to your friends or whatever, but you don't have to type that in a Smite game. You could be like, dude, that sucked. You're awful. Do that in Smite game during a tournament. It's not my favorite, but I'm not going to hate you. But don't go to the dude's personal channel and bash on him. It's a different world. Now you're in his locker room. Now you're in his living room. Get out.
And you wonder why people get banned. Like, yo, I got banned for typing Rex in this guy's channel. Well, yeah.
Yep.
That's fine.
If I come to your house and watch you do everything you do, like just watch you do your life and you trip, and then I'm like, I don't say anything for 3 hours. You trip and I go, wow, you suck. I'm like, that's not fun.
I would kick you out of my house.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
In fact, I'd kick you out of my house anyway. Get out.
Now, if I'm watching you, like, during an event that you're part of, and I say, wow, you suck, you're like, man, that guy is annoying, but I don't have to pay attention to him. But in my house, get out of my house. So, I don't know. Be a pro. February 14th, week 1 qualifiers. March 5th, Challenger Cup and season 1 of the SPL starts. Be there or be square because you're not around.
And happy Valentine's Day. We'll see you guys next week, hopefully, with another show. I've been Krett. This has been FDOT. I almost messed that up. That's why I stopped for a second. You can follow me at Twitter, twitter.com/Kretuhtuh, TUHTUH. You can follow FSwag at F.NY, soon to be a lie. He streams on Smite Games 7 to 10 Eastern for all of the worst gods and the worst builds and the worst rolls. It's really good. That's our show. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.